has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. Hour 2 of C2C underway on a Thursday afternoon. And by the way, the snow is coming down in Cleveland for the Steelers and Browns tonight at the Dog Pound. I just saw a live stand-up shot there, and this chick was talking about the weather, and it was snowing on her. I saw the snow myself. So that's the first glance of snow I've seen yet, allegedly for the fall and winter ahead here in football season. I haven't seen snow anywhere. At least I don't think I have. Let's talk to Zach Osterman with the Indy Star, and he covers the Hoosiers. Zach, it's good to see you. I went to Indiana, and believe it or not, they've never won 10 games. They've never been number 5 in the country. They've never been in a conversation for, frankly, a BCS playoff, any kind of anything. I don't ever remember them being that highly ranked as they head to Columbus for an absolutely huge game Saturday against the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I don't think I feel like maybe that 67 season they might have been ranked higher. There was a stretch there, and obviously I'm not old enough to remember it, where the AP only did a top 10, I think. And so I think they were in it and then out of it and then back in it, because if I'm not mistaken, that is the only other time in Indiana's history it's played a game and both teams were ranked in the top 5. So this is the first time it's ever happened in the regular season. The 67 Rose Bowl was obviously a postseason game, but the only other time it's happened in the history of the AP poll. I mean, as you say that, they'd never won 10 games in a season. This is obviously their best start to a season. This is, I feel like I've lost track of all of the sort of, firsts that I need to mention in every story I write. It's been that kind of year for Indiana.
So does Cignetti make more money than Woodson?
Cignetti makes more money now. I guess, he did already, if I'm not mistaken, and I'd have to go back and look at where the two contracts lined up after Woodson signed his extension. I'm assuming that that contract extension has gone into effect, but either way, the point is, if you think about it on a year-by-year basis, he actually makes more than any other Indiana University employee has ever made, and I believe any public state employee, because Jeff Brom didn't make this much money at Purdue either. So, I mean, obviously Notre Dame, I think, has paid coaches more, and that's a private institution, and we never know quite what those come out to. But I think he is the highest paid employee in the history of basically the state of Indiana.
Yeah, the Catholics are great at hiding things. They've always been fantastic. They should run all those scavenger hunts. So anyway, Indiana, do you think it's possible that it's become, it's pretty obvious the football team's better than the basketball team. The basketball team hasn't mattered forever. I went to a game there last year. I saw them beat North Carolina in February something in the freezing cold. That place was lit that night at Assembly Hall. Is it surreal for you to see this football team pass the basketball? Indiana has been a basketball school since before Christ. And I did 5 years with Bob Knight and the 87 national championship. I was there for all of that. I was there for Alford's career, all of it. And all I know is that football now has passed Indiana basketball.
No, I mean, it definitely feels that way. I tell people when they ask, this is a football town now. And I think I think we've seen kind of the opposite dynamic at times with Michigan, with Ohio State basketball, that, you sort of forget, these are, maybe they're fan bases that historically are more rooted in one sport than the other. But number one, they're fan bases that know how to be passionate about sports in general. Number two, most of these Big Ten schools, I saw the stat years ago, and I don't remember it perfectly, but it's something like 12 of the 15 largest living alumni bases in the country are the Big Ten, because they're all big state land grant schools. So Indiana's in the top 10. I think Indiana's 6th or 7th. The point is, there are literally hundreds of thousands of IU fans out there. So when you see 5,000-6,000 fans at the Rose Bowl for the UCLA game, when you see probably more, and I know that stadium is a little funky, but you probably see more IU fans in that pop-up stadium Northwestern has on the lake up in Evanston than Northwestern fans. Like you sort of, it reminds you that this is still a huge fan base. It is a fan base that knows how to be passionate about sports. And I've said this to people in conversation the last couple of weeks in particular. This season is obviously something remarkable, but Indiana fans have kind of had a decade of building up to this. They went to one bowl game from 1994 to 2014, and I think they had 2 or 3 5-win seasons in that stretch. Since 2015, across 3 different coaching tenures, if we count this as a bowl season, maybe it's a playoff season, maybe it's both, we'll see. Indiana's been to 5 bowl games under 3 different head coaches with 2 more 5-7 seasons. Now, I'm not trying to make Indiana out to be, some undervalued program. I don't know if I'm quite on board with Curt Cignetti when he calls it the sleeping giant or the emerging superpower of college football. But the point is, I mean, Indiana fans have had some good teams to cheer for in the last 10 years, and this is not necessarily felt like the culmination of that, but maybe a lot of that learned behavior of 6-6 and then 8-4, learning to expect a little bit more from football, learning to invest a little bit more in football. And now all of that kind of coming to a head with, a season where Indiana gets 8 home games, which means it gets a ton of opportunities for sellouts. It's going to be the most sellouts since either 71 or 72 in a single season. You've seen a lot of IU fans on the road. Michigan State was basically just IU fans by the end of that game in Spartan Stadium. It's in a weird way, it's almost kind of built up a little bit. It's just that it took somebody to kind of come and just tear the dam down, and that's obviously what Curt Cignetti's done.
Now, I have so many years invested in Indiana and being there that I don't remember ever not once have I ever seen that stadium full. And there always were seats up in the corners that were empty. Always. It was forever. And it's amazing to me seeing them play games with a sold-out Memorial Stadium. I can't even believe my own eyes. How can they go to Columbus? And I think, frankly, they'll still make the playoff, or do you think they will with one loss if they were to lose this game? Because we believe that if they lose big, they won't be in the playoff. But if they keep it somewhere under 15 points and show that they can hang with Ohio State, that they're in.
Yeah, you don't want to create, if you're Indiana, you obviously don't want to put any kind of seed of doubt in the committee's mind. And the committee has been, I think it's fair to say the committee's been a believer in Indiana thus far. They've kept them steadily in the top 8. They've been top 5 the last 2 weeks. We've heard Ward Manuel, Michigan AD, who's the committee chair, has, even just kind of said stuff. He says it diplomatically, obviously, but he said stuff that more or less kind of comes across as we're maybe not as worried about strength of schedule as is widely perceived, that we're looking at other metrics like strength of record and things like that. I did, and I'm just looking over at my desk because I wrote this yesterday, but I pulled together the 10 times during the 14 playoff era that either a Power 5 conference team or Notre Dame, it happened once with Notre Dame, finished with 1 loss and didn't make the playoff. None of those teams finished lower than 7th in the playoff committee's final rankings. And obviously it's a blunt instrument. It doesn't exactly work this way, but if those had just been 12-team playoff years, all 10 of those teams would have made the playoff. Now, I understand the argument against Indiana from the strength of schedule perspective, and I understand that there's an extent to which I think, sometimes college football just has a little bit of difficulty allowing, teams to kind of come out of nowhere or teams to kind of rise above their station as fast as Indiana has. But if you go back and look at some of those teams, you see some strength of schedules in the 40s and the 50s.
Zach, great stuff. I love you. Awesome job. Enjoy the game Saturday in Columbus, my man.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek because I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We always like to get to what's most popular on Coast to Coast, and clearly in the top shelf status level, it would be Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh has absolutely reached top shelf level status on Coast to Coast. There's no question about that. And how could he not? With some of the press conferences and post-game locker room celebrations that he's had, there's really nobody unequaled right now at this point. Here he is talking about, of course, the Chargers are starting to get bumped up a little bit. They've been on a roll. They've got the Harbaugh Bowl against the Ravens coming up on Monday night. But Jim says he has learned what to do to people who start to talk up his football team or start to talk up when you start playing well. Jim has the solution.
That gene is in you, then yeah, that kind of success can fuel you. It can be like an attaboy. The other side of that coin is I just go back to what my college coach, Bo Schembechler, used to say, and Gary Moeller, who was the defensive coordinator. He would say, when people are giving you accolades and compliments and telling you you've arrived, that kick them in the shins. You kick them right in the shins. That's what you do. And those accolades could come from, could come from people you don't know, could come from the media, could come from your teammates, could come from friends, could come from your own family. They're trying to make you soft. Kick them in the shins. So, two ways I look at that.
Honestly, that is the greatest thing ever because, I think that the shin kick should be brought back into play. It is like last night I was, turned off the lights and the party's over and I'm walking in the dark and I bashed into a wooden ottoman with my shin in the dark in the family room. And I mean to tell you, there is nothing quite like being bashed or kicked in the shin. It is one of the great, it's an equalizer. There's another Denzel move, I believe. And also, I think it's applicable in the UFC. Anyone that can get a kick into the shin area so brutal that it leaves welts and swells the leg or breaks the leg, I think is a fabulous move. I remember chicks in grade school were very effective as a defense mechanism. The kick in the shin, Carver High. Like a chick would, she didn't like you. You were, hassling her, giving her the business, and then she would just whap right in your shin. And you would be done. You would be on the ground. Think of it. There has to be times in your life when the shin kick was applicable.
The shin kick hurts. Nobody wants a part of it. It's really just, it's not comfortable. It doesn't help anyone, but it has kind of floated away into oblivion. And yes, maybe Jim is trying to bring it back, I guess, with all that. Shin. I mean, he even said like your family, like he's just like, they're just trying to make you soft. Like that's just what Jim's just. He is out there, man. Boop,
what
boop,
a
boop,
motivation. He's bringing back Bo Schembechler stuff. It's just fantastic. Geez. From the grave.
Ravens -3. Road favorites again with the fat 50.5. This is not, of course, till Monday night is when they'll play this game in SoFi.
I got to go Chargers here. I really do. Herbert's having a career year, and your boy Orange Sherbert, and I think their defense is no joke. And so let's remember that the Ravens are overrated. Everyone has them winning the Super Bowl, and everyone has Lamar, the greatest quarterback on earth, and King Henry and all the rest. And their past secondary defense sucks. And all I hear about is how great they are as they lose to the Steelers. Now, if they lose this game, here's the deal. Bye-bye AFC North. And Steelers, hello, first round at home, no matter what. You know what? They might have a bye. I mean, they're not done. Like, if they win, and they win it, let's say hypothetically they beat the Browns twice. And then they beat the Bengals once, and they beat the Ravens again in Baltimore because they go there and beat them too. Remember last year they went there with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and they won the game in the pouring rain. And I'm telling you, your Bills' lead for that bye is slim pickings over the Steelers.
Well, yeah, and I mean the Chiefs still are ahead of both of them right now, and you still get a crack at the Chiefs, of course, on Christmas Day. You'll see them, and the Bills would have a time
in their stockings on Christmas Day. There will be no gifts at all whatsoever for the Chiefs, and I have heard that Santa Claus hates them, and I've also heard unequivocally
I've heard that too.
That God hates them.
It's
God
very possible.
Is not a Chiefs fan.
He's I mean, all those Super Bowls the past couple of years, they thanked him a lot after they won.
It was the refs in the NFL.
That's who did it. They did it. So we shall see how it goes. All right, we'll come back, and then we'll get into the rest of these ones before we move on to some other things. I've got Shanahan on the Niners, Kyler Murray, big Cardinals-Seahawk game coming up this week. Eberflus still has a job, so we will try to clean up the rest of the NFL on the other side. Big games in the NFC West this week coming down the stretch.
I remember a couple of chicks from my youth that were capable of doing
shin kick.
Well, the shin kick, and then just overall having the skill of being able to beat up boys. They were tougher than boys, and they were able to win fistfights with boys, and also would implore the deadly shin kick, where now it's a Mafia did it to me once at MMA training. He did the full hip and the kick blast. Back in the day, it was a straight shot from the ground up. Wow, right in the
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Always good to catch up with the smartest guy in the room. Here's Kyle Shanahan, Carver High. What's he up to? Because it sounds to me like he's playing shenanigans.
Well, that's what he's best at, and he's unfortunately for him, he's had to do it all year because he's had star player after star player after star player be injured. Whether it was McCaffrey earlier in the year, then Ayuk and Debo. Now he's on to Nick Bosa and Trent Williams. And the question is, are they going to play this week? Well, they might, and they might not.
Well, he definitely could be good for Sunday, and he definitely could not be good for Sunday. So that's why I don't think about it yet. And it's similar to the Tampa week when you got guys who are hurting. I don't ask them if they're going to play. I don't ask them after the game on Sunday. I don't ask them Monday when they're too hurt to practice on Wednesday. And, when it's a guy who hasn't done it before and they're a part of the game plan, and, sometimes I'll tell guys, you got to start to get out there. We're going to rule you out. But when it comes to a guy like Bosa, when it comes to a guy like Trent, their position, the veterans they are, how they play, those guys have all the way to kickoff for me. So I just look at it just like Tampa, and towards the end of the week I'll have a better feel, and that's when he'll have a better feel, and we'll discuss.
No, what it really means in Portuguese is if they make enough money, they can do whatever they want.
You can absolutely say that factors into it as well. I get part of it, and Williams is one of those guys. Williams has always got something going on with him, but he does play the majority of the time. Either way, and I get it. You can let him tell you all the way up until an hour before the game. All right, I'm ready to go. Here's what I know about them: they're 5-5. They were supposed to be the no doubt about it favorite once again to win the NFC, and they got a lot of work to put in over these next 7 weeks. If they're not going to just forget about winning the division, making the playoffs is going to be a problem for them, and that starts in Green Bay on Sunday, where they are, of course, taking on the Packers. As of right now, this has actually gone down to 1.5 for this game. So Packers minus 1.5 with a 47.5 total.
Well, I don't think they're winning the NFC for any reason whatsoever. And I think they're going to go 4-3 the rest of the way. And I think they're going to end up 9-8. They're not winning. They're a 500 team. That's what they are. And I will bet my life 7 weeks from now, they will be at best 1 game over 500. I mean, they're 5-5. That's who they are. And you just, this guy is so painful. Like, I don't care about all of his little mind games he plays with the media. It's real simple. We know if Nick Bosa wants to play, he'll play. Same with Williams. If they don't want to play, they're not playing. There's no, I don't believe for 1 minute that guy, Kyle Shanahan, has any control over their highest paid players. Trent Williams is the highest paid player on the team. And how about all that money they gave to Brandon Ayuk? You know, they talked about trading him for so long that his body fell apart. He literally didn't do one G-damn thing the entire season. And now he's collecting fat bank and doing nothing but eating Doritos. And I don't know if you knew, Carver High, they have actually, and it is very sinful to eat Doritos because you eat enough of them like I have, and you will be fat. Now, here's the deal. They're making, have you seen them? They're mini Doritos, like they're diamonds. They're mini Dorito diamonds, and they're in Pringles cans. Pringles is now letting you scarf Doritos in diamond-shaped little chips. And I was in Pittsburgh, and I was stunned at that development. I'm like, Jesus H. Christ, there's Doritos in a Pringles can. I have to eat these. And I invested in eating a couple cans of them. And they also make cheese puffs in a Pringles can now. They're mini golf ball Cheetos, whatever, the cheese puffs. I mean, you know, cheese puffs come in giant sticks or in giant balls. And the little mini, they're like ping pong balls. They're little, Tommy pinball wizard size, like the silver ball in a cheese puff in a Doritos can. These people have taken their game to a level. It's unprecedented. It's not even top shelf status. It is the stuff of legend. Being able to shrink Doritos down to diamond size so that I can eat a full can of those puppies. And I did exactly that. It must have been 2 a.m. and I was working on rum and I was just cranking Doritos. And then I went into the next day, I cranked a can of cheese puffs. I was pouring them down my face. I had cheese all over my hands. And I didn't care for 1 second, but I got it on.
Guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim to make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The second half kickoff, Carver High, as we turn the corner a little bit here.
We do turn the corner a little bit here, and I just have a couple of other NFL things for you, and then we'll get into some NBA rack, college football, etc. That we have coming up for this evening. Staying in the NFC West, of course, Arizona and Seattle, huge game on Sunday. Arizona holds the cards right now. They're 6-4, and at the top of that division, coming off of the bye as well. Kyler Murray, though, he don't want to hear about any of this stuff, man. This guy is just focused on this week's game, doesn't want to hear about any kind of big picture stuff. It's just any other game this week. Don't talk about me as the MVP. Don't talk about anything. Your boy Kyler's focused.
Yeah, I'm not really looking at it that way. Just taking it one game at a time. I know that the guys are as well, so I think that's that's the message that we're preaching. No game's bigger than the other. The one that we got right now is the biggest one. We got to win it. So I don't really pay too much mind to it. Doesn't fulfill me or satisfy me. I just got to continue to keep the main thing, continue to try to play at a high level for my teammates and this organization. And, I think winning cures all, so I know that to be true. I've won a lot of awards in my life, and I was never focused on doing those things. They just kind of happened.
Fair enough. And what they really want is to win that division and go to the playoffs.
And they are 1.5-point road favorites in Seattle against the Hawks Sunday, 4:25 p.m. East with the 47.5 total. So interesting game here this week for the Hawks. Have a chance to give themselves some space between everybody else in that NFC West, especially if the Niners and the Rams lost as well, which is very possible with who those teams are playing. So big week for Arizona here.
Who are you taking in that game? Are you going to go Arizona? Or you think they're going to win up there?
I lean to Arizona. I'm not a big believer in the Seahawks. I know that they've kind of got themselves back in the mix with these last couple of weeks, but I'm not. I don't believe in them. I don't think they're that great. I know they're beating the Niners last week. Doesn't matter. I think that they're the worst team in that division.
I don't think the Niners are great, so I'm not surprised that where they are, and really Seattle either.
They've been They've been the best football team in that division, Arizona, so far this year in terms of how they played, and now they need to be able to close out as the best team in that division if they are going to win it. We'll see. Big difference in trying to do that.
If they win the division and go to the playoffs, don't you think they'll lose in the playoffs first game they play?
I mean, probably, because you got to think about it. They'll, the way things are looking right now, they're going to be they'll probably be the fourth seed, maybe the third. I mean, the Falcons, that South winner, might not have as good a record as them. Depends on how it shakes out, but they're going to play either, Minnesota, who I think they play next week, by the way, the Green Bay. They're going to play one of those teams in the first round. Washington, not easy. Not going to be easy at all. And Washington kicked their ass earlier this year out in Arizona. So, that they're going to be playing a good team if they do end up winning it. All right. The Jets, of course, aren't playing this week, which is a good thing. But the stories that come out after they fire the general manager are great because that all the stories that come out, who do you think they're coming from? Probably the general manager that just got fired is the one that's leaking these stories to the media. So Woody allegedly, according to The Athletic, went into the coach's office the next day, Saleh, offensive coach, and told him that he wanted Rodgers benched. This was after they lost that awful 10-9 game to Denver back in late September. Woody wanted Rodgers benched for Tyrod Taylor. And the coaches kind of looked at each other like, is this guy serious? What is he doing? Why does he want to do this? So they thought that Johnson was nuts. And then a week later, he fired Saleh. So I guess he didn't like that Saleh didn't take his recommendation of benching Aaron Rodgers.
Well, maybe they should have. Because let's face facts. Aaron Rodgers sucks now. That's a fact. He does suck. That's it. That's all there is to it. Secondly, don't tell me that this guy who has turned this, Johnson & Johnson company into a, just roll over trillions of money, that, selling toothpaste and tampons, that he's not smarter than all of them. Like, believe me, that Johnson family knows how to make money. Why do you think they want to send him over? He ran Ireland. Now they want him to be the ambassador to London. And that fat Douglas was a loser. Like, who is he to make decisions? Honestly, the power they give these guys is embarrassing. It really is. You got a guy that runs a multi-billion-dollar corporation that's worth billions, trillions, and you've got some fat know-it-all football, executive. Is there anything worse than, how many people they put in positions of power in sports, in the front office of these franchises? There's 5 vice presidents. There's, it never ends. I mean, everybody's got some gigantic title, but they couldn't make a decision to save their ass. I mean, are you serious right now, this Douglas guy compared to Woody Johnson? You get where I'm going here, and I know I've taken too long talking about it, but I'm right. This guy, you know what his problem is that I don't believe he knows anything about sports. I think he knows a lot about dental floss and mouthwash and running, pharmacies and drugstores. All I know is that the people that make the decisions for the Jets are all idiots. They're all idiots, all of them, every one of them, every single one of them. They have been the most morbid franchise my entire life. They're I'd say top 3 worst franchises in the NFL.
I don't disagree with that. In fact, you can make the argument, I'll take it a step further. You can make an argument they've been a top 3 franchise in all of North American sports. You could put them right in put every league together, and I think they might be in the top 3. But if you want someone legitimate to finally run your football program, which he needs, because you're right, he's good at selling Johnson & Johnson products, not running a 4-3 defense or picking a quarterback. He's not good at those things. And he's the guy who wanted Rodgers. Remember that. Right. He's the guy who pushed Rodgers on these guys because he saw the big star that he wanted. I think that but it's harder to get a guy to run a team when he hears stories like that. That you're going to come into the coach's office and come in on a Monday morning and go, yeah, go bench the quarterback. These football guys who are smart don't want to deal with a guy like that. They don't want to deal with someone like that. They want to be left alone to do their jobs. It's the same reason why no one wants to go work for Jerry, because he runs everything down in Dallas, and he goes a step further. He's the actual GM.
Remember Dan Snyder, how he ran it?
Dan, the same thing. So you got to if you want to have a winning football team, get out of the way, go spend your billions, and let the football people work on the team.
And just do a better job of hiring football people, because he's never hired anyone good. No
that
one.
Too. That's another part of it as well. And finally, the NFL issued a security alert. Look out. To teams and players about organized and skilled criminals believed to be tied to a South American crime syndicate who are targeting pro athletes, including the recent burglaries at the homes of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. We did that story last week, how their houses got robbed. Right. Apparently, it is a large South American crime syndicate that is going after pro athletes, and the NFL has put all of their players and teams on watch for this.
I mean, this is a Lifetime movie. It's gotta be. Filming starts in September. When are they going to come out with a movie about the South American crime syndicate? It sounds like a South American mafia, and I think that calls for, it's a big screen movie. It's not a Lifetime cable movie. Yes. This is clearly big screen material. I think it's fantastic.
Netflix series.
I gotta be honest with you. Did you see those houses? They're like 10,000 square foot, like Waldo's place. They're big compounds.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
That's right. I won't even talk to him anymore. I'm done with him. Don't mess with me. There's a time and a place to just, Carver, you know, I will just cut him right off. Just like, I knew you, now I hate you. I don't care what you think of me. Have at it. I will cut you off. That's it. Like, one day I knew you, and the next day I didn't. And I just move right on down the road. I'm already almost 60. I don't have time for all the games. I'm not doing it. So if I choose for you to not be a colleague of mine anymore, then so be it. Mafia, get out there. So it is. It is written. It is done.
Sometimes you just gotta sweep the leg, no mercy. That's how it works sometimes. Sweep the leg, no mercy. I hope you watch those new episodes of Cobra Kai that came out. You gotta get new episodes that came out for the last season.
I didn't.
Make sure you watch those.
When did they come out? There's the last 6.
A couple days ago, like the same day as they got overshadowed by the dopey boxing match on.
Do they have them? So do they have them in bulk? You can watch all 6.
I think they put the next 6 out, so the middle 6 are out, and then they got one more set of 6 that comes next year. So the next set of them are out. So I haven't watched them yet.
They're doing it again next year, another 6.
The final season was three blocks of 6. So this is the second block of 6 episodes. There'll be one more block of 6 episodes, I think in the spring or whenever they're going to do that, drop that out. So you're almost there, the end of Cobra Kai.
My God. That is the greatest horrible binge show of all time.
It is.
The greatest
it's great.
Horrible show of all time. Absolutely horrible acting. But it's the greatest show. And I mean, I think that it could be top 10 all-time stoner binge TV shows. If you smoke enough reefer and watch that show, you will at one point get sucked right into the vortex and like it. You'll watch it. You'll watch every episode of the worst, horrible show of all time. It really is terrible acting. It is so embarrassing. I think I could do it better on mushrooms. I could be on that show. Anyone could be on that show. The acting is so terrible. It is so awful. And you know I'm right. It is.
It's true.
It is disgusting, but it is the greatest show. I love that show.
I'm going to see it out, obviously. I have to now get to the end because I've come so far. But the point that kind of like went over the line and there's a lot of things that are way over the line, on that show. I mean, I know they brought back a lot of old characters from the movies, but when you start bringing back the guy from the third one, the guy Barnes who he fought in Karate Kid 3, I was like, this is too much. I mean, we're bringing everyone back here. The guy Barnes that he fought was the bad guy in the third one. It's just too much after a while with the career, but it's still fun to watch. We get to
I even thought the guy from Osaka that they brought in to the last six-pack, he was awful too.
There's just and again like some of the just complete nonsense that's gone on with like guys.
It's the worst show I've ever loved in my life.
Breaking out of maximum security prison. It's like an episode of Prison Break. I mean, it's just absolutely out of control.
What's his name again?
John Kreese with the Kreese, Sensei Kreese doing that.
All
right, here we go. NBA.
Wait, time out. No, there's no time for that. What about your boy Johnny? He's like an alcoholic. Got like cans of Budweiser in the floor of his van. And he's living.
That's all right.
He listens to Poison and Rat.
He's still
he's a boss. He's loyal. He's loyal.
He still thinks it's 1987, man.
Right.
He still thinks it's 1987, and he's just he's living life. Is what he's doing right now. Just living life. The Knicks beat the Suns last night, 138-122. The Knicks have scored 130, in consecutive games for the first time in 36 years. They got dueling 30-point nights from both Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. Brunson hitting threes on MSG.
Nurkic. Shot clock at 4. Brunson knocks down the 3. Plays up top. Towns. Brunson gets it back. Shot clock at 4 again. Brunson another three-pointer. And that was good. Back-to-back threes for Jalen Brunson.
Did you see when I sent you the piece about them going over $130 for the first time in like 100 years? They gave the credit to Thibodeau. Like, meanwhile, are you kidding me? Thibodeau has nothing to do with it. It's Brunson and Towns. Okay.
Listen, Thibodeau's got nothing to do with them scoring 44 points in the first quarter. All right, that's just coming out and shooting the lights out of the gym. Is what they did in the first quarter. That's got nothing to do with Tom. Tom. He's like one of the, it's like Joey Prawns always says, he's like one of those football coaches that he'd rather lose 13-10 than win 45-17. You know, he doesn't want anything to do with high-powered offense. He wants to slow the game down to an absolute crawl. But there's a problem for Tom. He's got really good players on this team. And I think the biggest difference watching the Knicks, and I know you watch them too, is Towns in there instead of Randall. And Randall is a very good player who could score 30 on a lot of nights. Cat, when he wants to, could score 30 every night. And so can Brunson. And they have two guys that could score 30 every night if they really want to put their mind to it. And I think that puts the Knicks, that's what makes the Knicks so good.
Have you ever seen anything worse than that broke-ass jumper of Bridges?
Yeah, he's really done nothing so far, and it doesn't get talked about because Cat's been so good. So Cat's been so good that people forget that they gave up, you could say, more for Bridges with all the future first-round picks and everything that they gave up for him. He's been a zero for them so far with the Knicks. He's done nothing.
I've never seen a guy shoot like that. Like he's got like some kind of funky ass.
Yeah, but they got a lot of guys who could shoot. Payne can shoot. OG could shoot. They got a lot of guys who could shoot. So spread it around each night for the Knicks, and they seem to be making it happen. Good start to their road trip in Phoenix last night.
Yeah, I was surprised they won in Phoenix. I guess without Durant, and once they started having a couple of injuries, they don't matter. I mean, I thought they were playing great ball at the beginning of the season.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Well, the Sixers screwed it up again last night.
They certainly did. 117-111. They lose in Memphis against the Grizz. Now, they got Tyrese Maxey back last night, so it was the first night that they actually got to play all three of their stars, Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George. The problem is, Scotty, they won't be doing that again tomorrow night when they play the Nets because Paul George got hurt in this one again. Hyperextended left knee again, same knee from the preseason, so I'm sure it'll be a while before he's out. Maxey was limited as it is. He's only playing limited minutes with the hamstring. Embiid, I guess, as limited as it gets too. They are now 2-12 to start this young NBA season. And I also saw Embiid say after the game that he was very upset at whoever leaked the stuff about after the Heat game on Monday night. In fact, he used some very foul language.
He said that
when he
person was a piece of Shaq. And then
yes,
let me ask you this question. I think that the next hyperextended knee and bone bruise that he has, the next one, not this one, this is number 2, same knee. And remember, that was a month ago that he injured it, and a month later it injured itself again. I believe the next one will be season-ending and surgery on his knee. It'll be finally time for them to tell us that he needs to have his knee cleaned up. He's got a slight meniscus tear, or he's got swelling, bone bruises, all the rest, and that they need to clean it up. I will bet my life on it. How many times is he going to be out with knee problems this year before they finally cut it?
I don't disagree with you. It's really getting from bad to worse for the Sixers on a daily basis. And it is
Nick Sirianni.
Blame Nick Sirianni. Why not? Why not? He gets blamed for everything else in town. All right, I'll fly through the rest of these. The Thunder beat Portland last night. Hartenstein made his season debut. 13, 14 boards, 4 blocks. Got a huge ovation from the OKC crowd. You miss him, man. He was so good for the Knicks. He went right in there in OKC last night, and he got involved doing what he does best. So congratulations to him. Welcome back. The Cavs beat the Pelicans 128-100. Ty Jerome hit 7 threes in the first half. He had 29 points as the Cavs won by 28 over the Pelicans skeleton crew last night. Although, did you see the Pelicans did get 34 points from Austin Reeves off the bench, the kid from Kentucky.
Hillbilly
I guess not a kid. Yeah, so 34 from him in a big effort. You also had the Bucks beat the Bulls. Huge night from Giannis there. Rockets beat the Pacers. All they do is win every night. Warriors beat the Hawks 120-97. DeAnthony Melton, season-ending ACL surgery.
You lose.
Not good for him. That is a you lose. The Clippers beat the Magic last night. I believe you were on the Clippers yesterday when we did that. We did that game. So nice call for you on that. Harden had a good night.
I said Harden would lead them past Orlando and cover. Harden was their leading scorer.
Harden was their leading scorer as he had himself a good night. He had 24 with 7 boards and 5 dimes. So good night for him. More injury news for you, and that is Luka Doncic. He's going to miss at least a week with a wrist strain. So Luka's another guy who usually misses several games at several points throughout the season. And these will be the first ones that he missed.
He's on the all donut team. I mean, my man.
All donut team.
Like, I used to have a certain level of confidence that I could eat 12 donuts easily every day. And I think that he can eat a 12-pack, a box of Dunkin' every day with 12 different types of donuts. And I mean,
12 different flavors,
strawberry,
like different flavors.
Different flavors. Cinnamon roll, the white, creamy Boston cream. Then you get the one with the frosted ones. Then you get chocolate ones, and you get, you might even get a box of donut knots. I think Luka Doncic hits the drive-through at Dunkin', and they know his order when he's coming around the corner in that Ferrari. He wants his donuts because he's a fat ass.
We will come back. There are 4 games tonight in the NBA. I'll give you the numbers for those. And then I got a lot of college football to do, including an ACC game tonight with NC State and Georgia Tech. So we have all of that to start the last hour. Yes.
It just keeps getting better. We go to the crunch time, money time, the fourth quarter on C2C.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.